Hello, listeners. This is Janine
and Kristen
from Henrico Casa. You are listening to our podcast, Vigilant Voices. Living life every day. Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of our Vigilant Voices podcast.
And it's not just any episode. Today is one of our monthly guest episodes. We love bringing people into our conversation who are speaking up for the well-being of children in our community.
And today's guest reminds us that there are so many ways to get involved and make a difference.
For sure. He's involved in our community on so many levels, always generous with his time, his money,
and business. And so today we welcome Mark Smith, owner of Midas of Richmond.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome.
Mark, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited about this conversation. So we know that you're super involved in the community and have a huge heart for what we do. And you've used Midas, I think, to make just a tremendous difference. So we'd love to know more about all of that, which we will get into. But before, what about you? Like, what's your story?
Oh, boy, I'm 61. I'm a golden retriever dad. I've owned the stores for 28 years.
Wow, congrats.
It's
a legacy.
Yeah.
This is kind of the, it's my vocation, it's my avocation, it's my mistress, it's the whole bundle.
Yeah, all
So
rolled
I have
into
fun.
one.
5, soon to be 6 stores, 50 employees-ish.
Wow.
We have a good time.
That's great.
Yeah. And so, you're a business owner, clearly, but what we love about you and why we invited you here today is that you have a heart for the community and you found a way to combine the two. So we'd love to hear more about that.
I probably get more credit there than I deserve. The big first step we took was after 9/11. I went down to Innsbruck to donate blood. I was a lapsed donor. There were, I'm going to say, 100 people milling around outside. One of the folks from VBS came out and said, "There's too many of you. We've got to come back."
Okay.
So I reached out to Bob Carden, who was the head of Virginia Blood Service at the time, and said, "Let's do a blood drive. And anybody who donates, we'll give them a free oil change," having no idea what would come of it.
Sure.
And now we're the largest single donor in Central Virginia. We've got
That's amazing.
We were
Wow.
2.5% of the blood supply for Central Virginia.
Yeah.
The following year, I got word that the Central Virginia Food Bank, it wasn't Feedmore yet, the food bank was out of turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We had a blood drive coming up, so I reached out to Faye Lohr, who was the founder of the food bank, and said, "If it's okay with you, for our marketing, we'll market that you get a free oil change and we'll donate a turkey in your name to the food bank for Thanksgiving."
Yeah.
And we got 83 turkeys. And then it just
Great.
really kind of took on a life of its own.
That's
and now,
amazing.
25 years later, we're here.
Yeah. So before we even started this conversation today, listener, Mark sits down and your first question to me was, what do you need? Right? I mean, that is so simple, but you're truly just looking for what is the specific need that I can fill. What are some other examples of needs that you feel like through Midas you've been able to meet?
We work closely with Shalom Farms. We work closely with Gucci Cares, Ford Foundation, helping single moms, St. Joseph's Villa, which is one of the unfortunate best-kept secrets in our community. They do amazing work.
They
we work
do.
with Jenny and
They
her
really
team.
do.
Working closely with the Colonial Heights Food Pantry. Warren started that a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Because we've got a store in the Heights, and it's a big need down there. So anywhere we can align education and nutrition and kids' health,
Yeah.
we try and engage.
Yeah.
I love that. And so, listeners, I hope that you're hearing, and we certainly know that, Mark, you've used this platform with Midas to promote all this community involvement. And I think especially what I hear, which I love, is on behalf of children and families, right, and needs. Maybe kids who need access to food, like we talked about. But so why have you chosen to be sort of focused on children and families in the community? Like what draws you to that?
Tough question. So I was 4 kids. I was youngest of 4. My folks got divorced when I was little, 5 or 6. Mother took the 4 of us to Western North Carolina, and her idea to approach milk was to buy a gallon of milk and pour a fifth of it into 4 other gallons and dilute the rest with water. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned, it was milk.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a taste for it, and then we came out here and started doing what we're doing. And I figured, well, we can compete traditionally. I'm going to go beat up Goodyear or beat up Firestone.
Yeah,
right.
I thought that's just really boring. So let's come up with our own platform. And then after the blood drive started, and after Faye got me involved, once we had the first Thanksgiving with her, she said, you got to get active. So I got on their board.
Neat.
And then it's really just been a matter of finding, people, meeting people. We've got good relationships with every ED we work with. I do those pretty much personally, although I've got 2 women who now are running the company for me that they're getting active with it. It's just a matter of, this is a unique way we can put our brand where most people don't put their brand.
Yeah,
Sure,
I love
sure.
that.
And it's insanely effective. It feels like everyone needs to get an oil change, right?
Yeah.
So they love to be able to, while doing that, feel like I'm doing something else as well.
Yeah.
It's meaningful.
Giving back in another way.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, being on the board, because I know, I think you've served on a few boards over the years. What have you learned, about community needs by serving on the boards, or how, we can all step up to be a part of making a difference?
I think there's multiple answers to that question. It's a great question. People have this idea, this expectation that if I become a board member, I'm expected to do this. You are expected to get involved, but that doesn't mean money. It means time. It means effort. It means advocacy, as we
Right.
talked about before the show started.
Right.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of resources people can bring. We understand the fact that you may not be financially in a place where you can donate X dollars.
Sure.
Right.
But boy, if we can get 2 hours of your week, if we can get a week of your month,
Yeah.
that's a gift.
Yeah.
Yes. Your
So we've
skills,
all
your
got gifts.
expertise.
And
yeah,
value.
without a doubt.
Right? There's value
Yeah.
to that.
This is one big ecosystem. You
Yeah.
know? We live here, we work here, we grow here, we worship here. Insert word here. You can do, if you choose to do something, you can do something.
Yeah, I love that. And, hearing that again, I mean, that just, we love these conversations because it fills us with hope of just, like you said, we're here, right? Like we're all here and we're all part of this. And so, we've talked with you, Mark, a little bit, like you said, even before the show, that, our vision for children is that each and every child has a safe, healthy home where they have the opportunity to thrive and to meet, their expectations, right? So what is your vision for maybe children in our community who are here?
So I'm 61. When I was a child, the rules were simple. Go outside and don't come back till it's dark.
Right,
Call
go
your
play.
parents,
Mom rings the bell
That's
or whatever
right.
it is.
Yeah.
And not having kids, I can't speak to the concerns that you hear about in the news every day now with, the kids in their games, their kids in their
Right.
devices,
Yeah.
their kids in their boxes.
Yeah.
I think we need to get kids active. I think we need to get kids out there, get them involved. I had a group in from St. Chris's the other day at my Scott's Edition store. We had a great conversation for an hour about what's a day in the life like. I also think we need to let these kids know that there's a safe space out there.
Right.
There's some weirdos out there, you can't deny it, but there's
Right.
also people out there who are genuinely good.
Right.
And I mean, a great example is you two, and the advocates you coach, the advocates you train to help some of the kids maybe in the most need. Like we were talking before we started, if you've got a kid that comes out of NICU and needs help, is there a better way to invest your time?
Right. Right.
We can all do something. Nothing changes until something changes.
Right.
So let's be the change.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love that.
Definitely. Without a doubt, we can all do something. And you're talking a little bit about your vision for children, and you kind of touch on this, but I'd love for you to kind of summarize it maybe a little more. But, what would your vision be for the whole community? Like, what, in your mind, if we were like, this community is thriving, what would that look like?
Wow. Let me pull out my crystal ball here.
Because you'll make it happen.
It's a safe space. I
Yeah.
mean safe in multiple ways. It's warm, it's inviting, it's inclusive.
Yeah.
It's just a good, safe, kids can explore, they do this, they do that. We've got a phrase we talk about, 6 by 18. What happens when you multiply 6 by 18? It's 108, right? Well, maybe, but maybe not. What if you multiply the 6 inches between your ears by the 18 inches from the heart to your head?
Right.
I want to coach kids there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
yeah,
right.
I've
It's
never
the
heard
whole
that saying.
idea that,
Yeah.
if your heart doesn't own an idea, your head never will. So let's explore these kids' passions. What are
Yeah.
you curious about?
Yeah.
And once we find whatever that is, and there's not a right answer here. It's
Yeah.
whatever turns this kid on, that
Right.
kid on. All right, let's go explore.
Yeah.
You were
Lean
sharing
into
with
that.
me about finding out who these kids are and helping. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
Just create a network that you can explore, that you can go, you can wander, And you can do so knowing that, yeah, you're probably going to fall down and skin your knee, but there's going to be somebody to
Which
catch
is
you.
okay.
And pick you up, right?
Yeah.
Love that.
Definitely. That's beautiful.
That really is. Well, so Mark, as we're wrapping up, we really appreciate you and you being here to talk with us, but then also just being a vigilant voice in this community. So thank you. And so we always end our episodes with what we call a small call to action. I think you've given us some ideas, but this is really the idea is how can we help our listeners just do a little something, right? Some type of act, can be big or small. So as you think about community and some of the things that we've chatted about today, what action would you leave everyone with?
Remember the idea that hope exists in small gestures. We're not talking huge steps here. We're talking about just random acts of kindness. Go out, make a difference, make someone walk away saying thank you. And if you do that every day, if you set out to find a place you can just, something small, you might even think it insignificant. It's not insignificant to the recipient.
No,
Right.
not at all.
If you can do that one time a day, one time a week, start small, you can be a change advocate. You can be a voice for change. You can be an example for change. And it can just make a world of difference.
Yeah, it snowballs from there
Yeah.
for sure. I forget who said it, but there's that famous saying to the effect of do small things with great kindness or great love. Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Just little steps, but yeah, take
Yeah.
them.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Mark. It was
You're very
great.
welcome.
Thank you for listening to Vigilant Voices, Henrico Casa's new podcast. We have a vision for all children to live in safe, healthy homes. You can help us make that happen. Tell a friend about our podcast and find us on social media.
I believe in the better days.